Hi, welcome to my live. Shockingly, the Instagram didn't work. I don't know what I'm pushing when I go live. All right, tonight we are reviewing an article by Tom Walls and Heather Ritchie named Listen, let's talk about Google autocorrect and what it wants to do with the word Gandhian. Gandhian principles in social work practice, revisited. I underestimated my need for cheaters for this endeavor. I am now live. I'm live on Facebook and YouTube. And this is what it looks like when you live in Cleveland and Carlos Jones and the Plus Band is playing. You put on your good deodorant, right? You put on the under eye primer from the winter when your skin was lighter. Today, we are reviewing Gandhian Principles in Social Work Practice, Ethics Revisited. And my name is Patti Napolitano, and I am a social worker. And I have been since, on accident, I ended up in this profession in 2001. What a year. What a year. So, I have a close personal connection to Gandhi, clearly, from Cleveland, Ohio. Truly, really and truly. People from my parents' church were in missions in India. And I know people who were pen pals with Mother Teresa and greatly influenced by nonviolent practices by Gandhi. So I really love including Gandhian principles. And when there's a research article, hello. So clearly this has been a part of my curriculum for a few years now. Social work 626 currently in the Advanced Generalist social work track. So social work licensure, aka gatekeeping. Gatekeeping. For sure. If you look at the pass rates by race, by income, by class, it's like a very obvious ladder of who passes and who does not. Social work licensure of gatekeeping includes nonviolent policy work that often references Gandhi and organizing tactics that he used, such as staging hunger strikes and salt strikes and clothing strikes and all kinds of things where we talk about financially boycotting that came out of Gandhi protesting the British Empire politically as part of a religious and cultural movement. How lovely is that? Social work as an expression of culture is a highly value-laden activity. The emergence of many new ethical issues resulting from technological and scientific advancements suggests the need for greater attention to values and ethics. In this article, the authors argue that the thought of Mahatma Gandhi as revealed in his social activism is relevant to social work ethics and a resource for its ethical enrichment. Principles such as seeking truth through service to others, individual self-development, nonviolent social action, and material simplicity could enhance the current NASW Code of Ethics. The keywords, if you'd like a similar search and to find similar articles, are ethics, Gandhi, Gandhi, nonviolence, social justice, and spirituality. Social work scholars and practitioners have given limited attention to the principles of Mahatma Gandhi as a source of theory building. When one considers the overlap of social work values with Gandhian principles, the omission is surprising. This article presents Gandhian thought as a source of ethical theory building for the profession and as a complement to the current knowledge that informs social work practice. Volumes have been written on Gandhi's theory of nonviolent social change. On the subject of social work in Gandhian thought, the scant literature available has focused on social development, community organizing, conflict resolution, referencing Bani and Sharma, 1991, Dasgupta, 1982, Sharma, 1989, Sharma and Ormsby, 1982. And on rare occasions, social services activities, Dial, 1986. Schachter and Seinfeld, 1994, have entreated the profession to, in quotes, rediscover the transcending wisdom of such passionate philosophers of nonviolence as Mohandas Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., and Erik Erikson, page 349, in exploring the connection between personal violence and cultural violence. A few scholars, Waltz, Sharma, and Bernal, 1990, however, have addressed how Gandhian thought could enhance social work ethics. Subtitle: Ethical Paradigm. The enrichment of the ethical foundation of a profession is as critical as the expansion of its knowledge base. Ethical research and theory building in social work practice has long been overshadowed by the belief that knowledge and theory are more critical variables in the profession's development. Citation Holland and Kilpatrick, 1991, Reamer, 1982. Gandhi's thought as a guide for service to others and the pursuit of social justice is complementary to social work practice theory. His method, based on an integration of social service and social action, combined both micro and macro interventions, something social work has struggled to synthesize. Sorry, she's eating something she's definitely not supposed to eat. That is a sound she knows she's not supposed to make. Gandhi achieved this integration by reducing his ethical theory to two primary foci: service to others and social justice. Gandhi's ethical system rejected the Western model of utilitarianism, with its focus on the greatest good for the greatest number in society. In contrast, Gandhian theory emphasized social justice as fairness to the individual, with priority to disadvantaged people. In their writings, Rawls, 1973, and Geworth, 1978, closely followed Gandhian ethical principles. Rawls defined justice in terms of an equality principle that gives each individual equal rights to basic liberty, and modifies this with a, quote, difference principle, end quote, in which inequality may be justified if the least advantaged individuals in society are better off than if there were total equality. Geworth similarly advanced distributive justice in his principle of generic consistency, which is defined as distributing freedom and well-being for each person rather than the pursuit of the greatest possible aggregation of some good. Cited in Reamer, 1982, page 73. Gandhi, 1926, Rawls, and Geworth addressed distributive justice from a poorest of the poor philosophy, justice to the most vulnerable first. Geworth relied solely on reason as the mechanism for determining justice, but Rawls and Gandhi believed that an appeal to intuition or the heart should settle questions of priority. To Gandhi, the heart was of greater importance than just logic. He believed that at times intelligence failed to apprehend things clear to the heart. Throughout his life, Gandhi believed that unjust rules, laws, and institutions must be reformed or abolished. Similarly, Rawls, 1973, argued that there are circumstances in which civil disobedience is appropriate to protest unjust laws. However, both agreed that fidelity to the law is an imperative. A person must accept the punishment for breaking the law to protest injustice. Gandhi's activism against social injustice was first devoted to overcoming apartheid against Indians in South Africa, and later to pursuing political independence for India. His critique of colonialist-influenced industrial capitalism is evident in his ethical response to economic materialism. When he argued for Swaraj, or self-rule, he believed that India should return to her spiritual traditions. This position reflects the classic industrial age dichotomy between the spiritualism of the East and the materialism of the West. This examination of Gandhian thought as an ethical paradigm for social work comes at a time when the profession is reviewing its own use of spirituality in practice. Bullis, 1984, Kanda, 1988-1990, Constable, 1983, Joseph, 1987. Contemporary interest in spirituality and social work emerged in the 1980s in both professional literature and conferences, and was focused primarily on the place of spirituality in needs assessment and practice interventions. The profession was called on to expand its exploration of spirituality in both education and practice. Cornett, 1992, Deadly and Helfgott, 1990, Sheridan, Wilmer, and Atchison, 1994. In discussing the role of spirituality in practice, Kanda, 1997, identified the following as points of intervention. In the helping relationship in which the worker links personal and professional growth, in the worker's dialogue with clients about their frameworks for meaning and morality, in the worker's appreciation of diverse religious and non-religious expressions of spirituality, and in the worker's support of creative resolutions of life crises using spiritual resources relevant to the client. Spiritual values can assist an individual in giving meaning to experience, as well as giving meaning to ultimate reality, a feeling of belonging and universal justice. Surma by Khan, 1994. Recent literature has called for increasing knowledge of spirituality and religion in cross-cultural work. Boyd Franklin, 1989. Kanda and Baotong, 1992. And in assessing how spirituality influences clients' beliefs regarding change. Karnik and Suri, 1995. Similar to Gandhian thought applied to social work, the literature also uses religious frameworks such as Islam as a foundation for social work practice. Haynes, Awais, Abdel-Magid, and Chung, 1997. Social Work Ethical Code. By the mid-20th century, the social work profession had devised a formal code of professional ethics. Ethics refers to the values, norms, and moral judgments that guide professional behavior of social workers as practitioners, with clients, and as a collective professional. Levy, 1984. The code grew out of the profession's Judeo-Christian underpinnings and the rules of acceptable conduct in society. The social work ethical system included such moral imperatives as non-judgment, acceptance, confidentiality, individualization, respect for colleagues, and loyalty to agencies. In some respects, however, the social work code of ethics can be said to reflect minimalist qualities, as it functioned chiefly to discipline professionals for the extreme misconduct. Early versions of the code offered little towards inspiring the profession to a higher ethical level of practice. The recently revised Code of Ethics, NAACP 1997, now includes a section on promoting issues of social justice on behalf of disadvantaged populations, and on advancing global understanding of human development. One could argue that the lacunae in the development of social work's ethical system as it refers to social justice is a reflection of the level of moral development in contemporary culture. Reference Reamer, 1995, Rhodes, 1986. Western culture has derived in definition of human worth as well as the reciprocal obligations of the individual and society primarily from religious tradition. Reference Constable, 1983. As a secular, knowledge-based profession, social work has disassociated itself from this tradition, giving practitioners few moral resources for answering complex ethical questions. Foundations of Gandhian thought. Overview. Gandhi's ethical system developed out of his lifelong experiments with truth. Gandhi, 1993. These experiments were based in a turn-of-the-century non-Western culture. This begs the question, are his ideas relevant to the current post-industrial age? Many revolutionary developments have occurred since Gandhi's death. Foremost among these is the advancements in technology and the spread of capitalism. Yet what Gandhi found to critique in the industrial age has hardly disappeared from today's world. Waltz and Kanda, 1988. There is evidence that global economic developments are neo-colonial and that violence and terrorism are associated with the redistribution of power from the political to the economic sector. Environmental degradation also is closely linked to the economic development quest. From this perspective, a Gandhian critique is timely and it would appear to be appropriate for social work. Gandhian principles are predicated on a set of philosophical beliefs: cooperation over competition, interdependence over rugged individualism, sorry, Oregon, compassion for others over pursuit of self-interest, and social justice over individual achievement. The cornerstone of Gandhian ethics is service to others, sarvodaya, and justice for all, satyagraha. Gandhi's thought on social development rests on the foundation of truthfulness, love of all, harmonious relations, and service to others. The following concepts of Gandhian thought have been selected for examination for the purpose of enriching social work's ethical standards: unity of all things, or the principle of harmonic nature of the universe, ahisma, the Sanskrit word for the non-injury that Gandhi expanded to include the principle of non-violence, truthfulness, and love of all, sarvodaya, the principle of the self-development through service to others, with emphasis on service to those in greatest need, satyagraha, the principle of a non-violent social change for addressing social injustice, swadeshi, the principle of the human scale and immediacy and the material simplicity, and the corollary principles of non-attachment, non-stealing, and trusteeship. In the presentation of Gandhian thought, some concepts overlap. This is a result of the holistic nature of Gandhian thought and the way in which his experiments with truth unfolded around a set of core principles, such as nonviolence. Gandhi's choice of Sanskrit words to identify core concepts means that his narrative loses some efficacy when translated into English. Unity of all things. Gandhi believed that all of life as creation was interdependent and could best be characterized by its harmonic quality. He rejected the view of women and men as necessarily caught up in a competitive environment. When conflict occurred, Gandhi assumed it to be an aberration. Nonviolence and cooperation were the norm for the universe. From this perspective, Gandhi viewed women and men as only part of the universe, not its center. This ethical view pushes us beyond thinking of the world as a social system, a foundation concept in much of social work education. Gandhi preferred that we think of the world in holistic terms, with no center or boundaries. All life is equal, and to be respected, no part is greater than the whole. Each individual has an investment in maintaining and serving others because mankind is one. Gandhian ethic changes the Christian adage from do unto others as you would have them do unto you to what you do to others, you also do to yourself. Weber, 1991. Hisma, or violence against another, is hisma against oneself, because the self and all sentient beings are one. From this perspective, the ethics of a profession should not be limited to a narrow domain. Social work should not restrict itself to just the human social environment, but should concern itself with broader environmental issues as well. Whereas Germain in 1991 suggested this direction with the ecological perspective on social work, Gandhian thought extends to professional concerns for the health and quality of the planet, including attitudes toward sustainable and just lifestyles. In this regard, social work should address issues of frivolous and reckless consumption as well as those of poverty. Thus, any social functioning patterns perceived by the profession as a threat to planetary sustainability could be a target for professional social work intervention. Whereas the NASW Code of Ethics binds us to the responsible behavior with respect to client and community, Gandhian ethics calls for responsible behavior toward all things. Ahisma. Blending Hindu, Jainist, Buddhist, and Christian thought, Gandhi practiced the concept of ahisma, or nonviolence. Ahisma is not just the absence of violence or non-harming, but a condition of mental purification and positive acts through body, speech, and mind. Ahisma means viewing people as good and kind-hearted. With inner resources to seek love and understanding of others. Ahisma as love is viewed by Gandhi as truth, which he defines as universal justice or God. It is right-mindedness and right actions. No. We're going to pause. We still have 3 pages to go. So this has been part 1 of Gandhian Principles in Social Work Practice, Ethics Revisited. I am so excited to share our next section with you.